In the lecture series on staffing and coordinating, we discussed about what is human resource management and the stages of human resource management. We discussed about human resource planning, recruitment, then orientation or employee socialization, and we will carry forward the discussion with employee socialization, which is familiarizing employees with organization and its various aspects, knowing about the organization's policies, knowing about the peers or the reporting relationship in the workplace. So, an employee need to know with whom he is or she will be working, so as to acclimatize to the workplace, to be more comfortable and to break forth or to break away the hesitation, initial hesitation, so that it works like an ice breaking exercise. There are several benefits of socialization of employee: job satisfaction, commitment, loyalty of an employee emanates when there is a socialization, there is a proper structured employee socialization program. And now we will discuss about the stages of employee socialization or employee orientation. There are three important stages. One is pre-arrival stage, then encounter stage and metamorphosis stage. What are these stages? The pre-arrival, encounter and metamorphosis stage, let us know in more detail, and how does it help employee to familiarize with the workplace. So, pre-arrival is the period of learning that occurs before the new employee joins the organization. When an employee joins, before that the period of learning that occurs before the employee joins the organization, he learns about the organization through various sources, through the present employees, through various available news material, or through other articles, or say nowadays through social networking site. So, the person is familiarized through various exposition to various sources of information, recognizes that every employee comes with a set of values and hopes. When a new person joins, he comes with aspirations, certain aspirations of how he would carry forward his career in the organization, what are the achievements, personal goals he would accomplish in this organization. So, there are certain personal wishes of an individual. The second stage, that is encounter stage, when the person actually encounters the job or the workplace. So, when the new employee actually sees what is the organization, what the organization is really like, he confronts the possibility that expectations and reality may diverge. So, some people come with some expectations, and on reality, that is in the encounter stage, when they finally confront, when they finally encounter the job, there may be some kind of discrepancy in what they aspired and what they really felt on the through their first hand experience. So, which may discomfort the individual or may create a gap, or may create a kind of say dissatisfaction. So, the familiarization of employee helps him or her to understand the situation in a better manner. So, encounter stage is actually the stage where the person meets various organizational reality. Then the third stage, that is metamorphosis, new employee changes and adjusts to the job in due course of time. Work group and the organization, the policies, slowly starts understanding and accommodating himself to the workplace. Then we will discuss about the next point, that is after orientation, after acclimatizing the employee with the workplace, with various stages of acclimatization or orientation or socialization, pre-stage, encounter and metamorphosis. Once the employee adjusts to the environment, he moves further, he starts working on the assignments being bestowed on him, and then the individual is imparted training from time to time. Training refers to methods employers use to give new or present employee the knowledge and skill needed to perform their job. So, training is a sequential step of learning about the various skills, knowledge required for effective performance. Training today is characterized by three things. One is technology based learning, another is improving the performance, the third one is to make the person efficient in various types of skills like decision making, communication and so on. So, training today is characterized by three things. One is increasingly technology based learning. The second point is trainers focus more explicitly on improving organizational performance. Trainers or coach or mentors, their focus is on improving the performance of organization, improving organizational goals. So, they coach the individual effectively to perform, and the training includes more than technical skills. Mostly the soft skills are equally important for an employee to perform on the job. So, usually includes team building exercises, decision making techniques, communication skills training. So, what we have covered so far in the principles of management, we have discussed about each of these skills, soft skills, that is how decisions are being taken, how individual takes decision, and in a group, because group performance is very important in organization to take effective decisions. So, when employees take decisions as an individual or in a group, what are the problems, what are the biases they encounter, and how they can effectively overcome those biases to be a very decent decision maker or effective decision maker. How the person can effectively communicate, what are the barriers in communication process, how the person can improve his verbal and non-verbal communication, how he can be effective in giving instructions, taking instructions, improving observational skills and so on. So, these skills training are very important. Next, moving on to the training process. The employer should use a rational training process. What is rational training process? The process of training involves analyzing the training needs. Say in a large organization with many employees working, say maybe in around 1 lakh or employees working or more than that in different positions in different locations across the globe, we do not know what is the training needs of each individual based on the nature of the job. So, analysis of the training needs is very important. Further, design the overall training program so that the individual takes a holistic learning from the organization, develop the program in such a manner like assembling, creating the training course. So, there should be an effective development of training program, implement the training which is designed and developed, and evaluate the course's effectiveness. So, training program, training process includes analyzing, designing, developing, implementing and evaluating the course's effectiveness. What is analysis of the training needs? What training does the employee require? Which type of training is being required? Often calls skill gaps or performance gaps. Two traditional needs approach. Task analysis is detailed study of the job to determine what specific skills the job requires. Performance analysis means verifying that there is a performance deficiency and determine what will rectify the deficiency. So, there are two things which are required. One is analyzing the task, a detailed study of the job to determine which type of skill is required for performance on the job. The second one is performance analysis, which verifies if there is any performance flaw in the individual and determine how to overcome that performance deficiency. The second stage, that is designing the training program. Design means planning the overall training program, designing the entire training program including training objectives, delivery methods, that is lecture or web based or through outsourcing, and program evaluation. So, different types of training modules are designed, say for example, customer relationship management, or say imparting the training for project management or employee engagement. So, the need or understanding the goal of the training program is very important. What is the objective of the training program is important, say Six Sigma training method or total quality management training method. So, these methods need to identify the objective of the training program. And say suppose employee engagement, the objective is engaging employees, how customer satisfaction, how you can how the salespersons can satisfy customers at large. So, if the objective is well defined, then delivery methods can also be further aligned, that is through lectures, through action learning methods, through role plays, how we can impart training, and further this training program can be evaluated. It also includes setting performance objectives, that means what are required criteria to be attained by the individual, creating a detailed training outline, all training program steps, and verifying the overall program designs with management by establishing the budget for a program. So, it is also important to know, apart from the training objectives, the course material, the mode of delivery, it is important to know what is the budget, what would be the required budget within which the training program is to be executed. To design should include summary of how you plan to set a training environment that motivates trainees both to learn and transfer what they learn to the job. Then third stage is developing the training program. How do we develop the training program? Program development means assembling the program's training content and material. It means choosing the specific content the program will present and choosing the specific instructional methods, lectures, cases, web based learning, etc. Some employees create their own training content or select already existing online and offline content. So, in the training development of the training program, program development means assembling the program content and material, choosing the specific content, and then designing the instructional methods. Moving further, implementing the training program, implementing means actually providing the learning or the training using one or more methods of instruction like lecture. Different types of trainings are basic literacy skills, then technical skills focus on most training, especially given the pace of technological change. Then interpersonal skills training like effective listening, communication, observational skills, team building, interpersonal relations, achievement orientation, and so on. Problem solving skills are again, they emphasize on logic and reasoning and provide helpful decision making techniques, like we have been discussing about brainstorming, nominal group technique, and Delphi technique. We discussed in while we were doing, we learnt about the planning and forecasting. So, various forecasting methods, problem solving skills are very important for a manager to improve or hone his decision making skills or improve the logical or rational thinking. Then further training methods can be aligned as formal or informal learning methods, on the job training or off the job training, e-training or e-learning methods. What is formal? Something which is within the rules and regulations of organization, something which is planned in advance and in a very structured format is called a formal learning method. Informal is one which is unstructured, does not follow any sequence, unplanned and easily adaptable, and 70% of all current training is of the type of informal learning. On the job training is includes job rotation, apprenticeship, then understudy assignments and formal mentoring programs may be disruptive to the workplace, includes job rotation. A person may be assigned a task to perform for 3 to 4 months, and then the next month or maybe after 3 months he will be given a different assignment. So, on a rotation basis, if a person learns different assignments, he will be equipped with different types of skills by experience or by observation or experiential learning, which is called job rotation. Apprenticeship, some interns, they work under experienced persons, and so through observations under the guidance of the senior or experienced person or experts, they understand and learn to adapt to the work, learn to work in a assignment. Final year students would be taking some assignments as interns, which is while doing their studies or continuing with their studies, they take up assignments in industry, and which is otherwise called understudy or internship programs and formal mentoring program. In an organization, some mentors are being assigned to help individuals grow in their professional or to advance professionally. The mentors are being assigned who may help them to perform effectively on the assigned roles, as well as they provide psychosocial support for an individual to develop their self confidence. So, these are various methods through which, or on the job learning methods, which will help an individual to improve performance. Off the job training methods like classroom lectures, videotapes, seminars, self study courses, internet based courses, role plays, case studies. So, lectures, learning from the experts is very important or a convenient method of learning, because it is beyond the capacity of an individual to read each and every study material available. So, basically when a lecture is being given, it is given as per a large volume of resource is provided to an audience in a very structured manner. So, classroom lectures are generally considered as a very as a very convenient way of learning to a large audience, by a large audience. Videotapes learning can be also through videotapes, listening to the videos, lectures available through videos. Seminars or speaking on a particular topic in a very concise manner. Self study courses, you can also refer to the notes which are available, which have been prepared by an expert, and internet based references. The references which are available on internet can also be used for learning, and role plays, when an individual is given a situation and asked to act. So, the person understands or internalizes the situation and acts accordingly. So, through experience the person learns, and case studies, by observing certain cases or the real life cases, the person also understands the situation and develops accordingly. And after that, e-learning or e-training or computer based training method is another method which is effective in training, flexible but expensive and not proven to work. It is very flexible e-learning method, but it is expensive and it is not as effective. So, in the training process, the fifth stage is evaluating training programs effectiveness. It is crucial for managers to evaluate the effectiveness of training program. Many factors determine training effectiveness. One is training method use, individual's level of motivation, trainees personality, those with internal locus of control, those who are internally motivated, those who take the onus of good and bad on themselves, that is internal locus of control, high conscientiousness, the high degree of dutifulness of an individual, high cognitive ability of an individual, high self-efficacy, learn best. So, trainee personality also is considered as very important factor on imparting effectiveness of a training program. So, what we have discussed is training many factors that determine effectiveness of training is training method, use of training methods, individual's level of motivation to learn from the training methods or learn from various training exercises, and the personality of the trainee, that is those who have internal locus of control, those who are self motivated, those who have a high degree of say conscientiousness or dutifulness, have a higher cognitive ability and self efficacy, learn in a better manner. Then climate for training is important, because if you learn in an environment with low lighting or improper seating arrangement, with a noisy environment, so there would be impact on, or it would have a reverse impact on learning of the learners. It will create a barrier in the learning process. So, climate of training is equally important. It is an ability to apply the learning to the job. So, how the training can be evaluated? A training evaluation form can be floated at the end of a training session, so that you can give them some say a structured questionnaire format and ask questions like when did you join for the training, what is the location of the training, what is the name of the trainer, and then who was your training a web based or on site, and was the training a lecture style or hands on. You can also ask some optional fields like some questions like what was the training content, the content was relevant to the job or not, and could you attend the training today, I can use the product more effectively, whether you can use this the training content effectively or not, or the training is conducted through web, or certain questions related to instructor, whether the instructor has been able to deliver the lecture effectively or not, was the content well organized and prepared, planned effectively, the instructor presented the material in a logical manner or not, the instructor was knowledgeable about the course material or not. So, such questions will give you a reference of evaluating the effectiveness of the training program. The instructor could handle the questions effectively or not, could address to your doubts, and then what is the level of satisfaction of an individual from this learning. And some written comments and open ended questions can also be asked, can be asked like what was the most useful thing that you learnt in the today's training session, and did it improve your improve the functionality and content of the database, and does this training help the individual to carry forward his work task effectively or not, and what would be the areas of improvement of the personality of the individual who has taken up the training program. So, this will overall help this assessment, or this when the individual reviews this form or gives response to the form, he would be able to evaluate the training's effectiveness. Further, we will also discuss about diversity training, as we are now moving in a culture, in a multicultural multicultural global organizations, as organizations are now no more restricted to a restrictive or to a specific geographical territory. There is a kind of workplace which is mostly globalized workplace, or globalization has led to inclusion of multicultural, multi-generational workforce, which will have certain challenges on its own. So, diversity training, or having a workplace where there is gender diversity, where there is a diversity of people working in the workplace. So, diversity in a way means some visible and invisible forms of diversity. Visible diversity, people with differences in age, gender, race, religion, and say educational background and so on. So, say here their generational backgrounds, different generational cohorts are working in the same organization. So, there are differences, and differences may lead to say decline in performance. So, the objective of the organization is always to overcome the differences which arise due to diversity. So, diversity training is important. How diversity training is being imparted? It is used to increase awareness and to examine the stereotypes associated with respect to a multicultural or multi-generational workforce or otherwise a diverse workforce. How to increase awareness? So, diversity training emphasizes on awareness building about the existing stereotype about people with differences. Participants learn to value individual differences, increase cross cultural understanding and confront various stereotypes. And further we will be discussing about what is managerial development or management development. Manager development refers to long term future oriented programs and the progress of a person in learning how to manage things. Managerial training pertains to programs that facilitate the learning process and is mostly a short term activity to help people to do their jobs better. So, management development programs emphasize it is future oriented, it is a long term series of programs which will help the individuals progress in on various professional roles. And training is a short term activity which help individual to perform the immediate job in a better manner. Managerial development process will see what is the present job and what is the actual performance of the individual, what is required performance of the person, required performance for a specific task. So, then they can manage, they can identify, the managers can identify the gap or the gap analysis can be done which will be used during the performance review. And if an individual is individual fails to perform as per the required performance, his actual performance and the required performance, there is a gap. So, the individual will be referred for training like say on the job training or external or internal training. So, any different types of training can be imparted to the individual in order to improve his performance. So, if he moves on to the next job, then he will be again assessed for his present and required competency and then the gap can be measured. So, the person can always be based on the competency and based on the job task, the gap between the competency can be assessed. So, I would like to tell you that there are two things. One can assess the nature of the task, the present performance on the task and the required performance on the task. There is, if there is a discrepancy or the gap, the individual will be referred for training. Similarly, if a person's present competency and the required competency to perform a task, there is a gap or a discrepancy, then the individual will be referred for training. So, based on competency gap and based on the task gap or job related gap, so there would be an assessment of individual and the individual would be referred for a training program. The training can be on the job or off the job. Training program can be internal and external training based on the evaluation, and then if a person does better, he will be referred for future positions. The new competencies is required by changed technology and method and additional needs. So, this all talks about how an individual can be developed for future roles as well as for the present assignment, how he or she can be referred for improving the performance through training. So, what we discussed here, we have discussed about various approaches to management development. On the job training program, which is a planned progression, is a technique that gives managers a clear idea for the path of development. So, if an employee is hired, so there should be a sequential step of or sequence of action plans to be designed, so that he can develop his future competencies, he can be groomed for future roles through a sequential step of actions or through various developmental measures. Job rotation is the is to broaden the knowledge. Job rotation is to broaden the knowledge of managers or potential managers. Assistant to positions are frequently created to broaden the viewpoint of trainees by allowing them to work closely with experienced managers. And temporary promotion, individuals are frequently appointed as acting managers. Committees and junior boards, also known as multiple management, are sometimes used as development techniques. Coaching must be done in a climate of confidence and trust between superior and trainees. So, we are concluding here that various types of training programs help, or the management training and management development programs like business games and experiential exercises have been used sometimes. Now, computers are used for special training programs, and then determining the effectiveness of training requires measurements against standards and a systematic identification of training needs and objectives. So, with this we have discussed in details about the training programs, and we have also discussed about how management development programs can be given, which will help in improving the efficiency of an individual employee. So, employee would become a talent and effectively would add value to the organization. Thank you.